Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of College Hockey Talk. On today's podcast, I'm joined by a very special guest, Minnesota Duluth women's hockey player, Anna Klein. Welcome to the podcast, Anna, and how's everything going?
It's going great. Happy to be here. Thanks for having me on.
No problem. Thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it. Now, obviously, this past season was obviously very different compared to other seasons you've had in the past. How did you deal with some of the challenges that your team faced?
Yeah, I think at the beginning it was especially tough, like getting into the new things that we had to do with like COVID testing and quarantining and everything. But overall, our team, I feel like if anything, it brought us closer. We had to get through a lot of adversity, and it ended up being great for us getting to the Frozen Four. It's been the first time since like 2010, I want to say. So worth it in the end. And I think we learned a lot as a team and individuals through it too.
Now, you obviously didn't play in front of any fans throughout the beginning part of the season. Was that an adjustment for yourself?
Yeah, it was definitely an adjustment, especially like coming to Duluth and playing when you usually have these little kids that are in the stands and they're like so excited to play, or even my parents, they come to like every single game. So it was tough at first, but you kind of get used to it. And then by the end, we got a couple in. So that was really nice.
Yeah, and you also had to adjust to many schedule changes throughout the regular season. How did you mentally stay prepared for all those schedule changes that happened, and what was the key for maintaining flexibility for this year?
I think our coaches did a really great job this year helping us because we would play small area games or we'd play scrimmages on the weekends. We had our games canceled, and our team personally only had to quarantine once, so luckily we didn't have to deal with like taking that much time off ever as some teams did. But I'd say really the practice schedule is what keeps you going, and it just gets you more excited for the next games. And then when you finally do get to play, it's even more exciting. So it was kind of highs and lows.
Yeah, and as a student athlete, you're focused on hockey and academics 24/7. How did you try to deal with the COVID factor as well? Because that's obviously on the back of your head.
Yeah, I mean, online school is not fun for anybody. Nobody really likes that. And that's like obviously the biggest change because of COVID. So I think having that start in the spring when we were off from hockey really helped the transition into this year having an online school. So that made it the season easier for me with the COVID factor, I'd say.
Yeah, and you also something else that was introduced to college hockey this year was 3-on-3 overtime. What was that like for yourself, being an offensive player and having more space on the ice and having more opportunities to score goals?
I think, well, I know for a fact our team loves the 3-on-3. Like you said, you have so much time and space and you get to do so many new things with the puck. And just like, I don't know, I think it's really fun.
Do you have to be a little more defensively minded in those situations? Because if you make one little defensive mistake, it can cause an odd man rush for the other team.
Yeah, it's definitely always have one back. You have to know exactly when to change. You have to like never change when they have possession. So it's very tactical, but it's also a fun way to end the game.
Yeah, another reason why I like 3-on-3 overtime is because it eliminates ties from the game. I'm assuming you're not a big tie fan. I'm not a big tie fan. I guess, like, was that a fun aspect not to have that this year as well?
Yeah, it's always fun. I mean, like you said, nobody really wants to end in a tie. It's not like who cares who won. So it's always nice to end a game, and especially when you're the one winning it. But it's fun that they don't let us end in ties, and we're able to fix that problem through 3-on-3, which is like another great way to do it.
Yeah, definitely. Now, you're also an upperclassman for this year and for next year. How would you evaluate your leadership skills being an upperclassman? And are you more of a vocal or lead by example type of player?
Oh, throughout the years, it's definitely been nice. I've had very good role models throughout my years at Duluth. Like Sid Brott was a 3-year captain. She started when she was a sophomore. So I think watching those girls, and as you get older, you do have a little bit more of a say, and people want to listen to you because you're their role model now. So yeah, I think over the years, I've definitely gotten better with my leadership skills. And then for the lead by example or vocal, I'd say I'm probably right in the middle. I'm work really hard on the ice, but I'll say a couple things in the locker room, but I don't want to be the one saying it all the time. So kind of both.
Yeah. And talk about the freshmen this year. What did you take away from their performance on the team? And how have you tried to help their transition into college hockey?
Yeah, our freshmen this year were actually great. A lot of them had gone to boarding schools, so coming into college, that's kind of an adjustment. Like for me, I know I lived at home my whole life, so coming to college, that was a whole added thing. But there was really only one girl that hadn't been away from their family. So that was nice for them coming in. I think they made a really big impact this year. We had one of them was scoring a lot of goals. We had a good defender. Like they did a great job coming into college hockey, I'd say. I think it can be a transition. It can be kind of a rude awakening with some stuff, but they did really well. And anything that they needed, we tried to help them with. It's kind of the whole team does it. It's not just the captains or the upperclassmen, so it makes it easier for everyone too.
Yeah, definitely. And just talk about what it's like to play in the WCHA conference and just the competition you face every night because there's no night off, especially in that conference.
Yeah, I think we might be pretty biased, but in my opinion, it's the hardest conference you can play in. You got teams that they don't look like they have a great record, but they could beat you any day because they're still a really, really good team. You can just see even like from the U.S. national team roster that just got released for Worlds, it's like so many girls are from the WCHA or are playing in the WCHA. So it's really fun. It's physical. It's fast paced. I could talk all day about why I think it's the best conference, so I'm going to cut it off there. But I definitely am glad I chose to play in the WCHA.
Definitely. And I want to start off now talking about the tournament games you just played in. What was your team's mindset heading into the national tournament this year after losing in the semifinals in the WCHA?
Yeah, I think the loss in the WCHA semifinals was a tough one with the 7-2. So we all kind of came in with a chip on our shoulder. We wanted to prove people wrong. We also didn't we were so thankful because we didn't want to end on that note against a team losing 7-2. So we always like to think of ourselves as the underdog, and going into the tournament that didn't really change for us. So just a mix of gratitude and ready to go.
Now, what was your reaction when your team made it in the tournament? Because I saw the video, it was pretty awesome. And what was your reaction to when the guy touched the logo?
Oh, yeah. Like you said, you saw the video. My reaction, I just was speechless. I didn't know what to do, and then I just got up and started jumping. But yes, the logo video, that was our trainer Jason, and we actually fined him $50 for that.
Hmm.
So everybody that's seen the video is like, so who stepped on the logo? I'm like, oh yeah, don't worry, we got it covered. But when he did that, we all got pretty mad at him.
That's good. At least he paid his dues. That's all you have to ask for.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, in the first game of that tournament, you played Colgate. You won that game in overtime, 1-0. What did you take away from that game overall? And just talk about your team's defensive performance throughout that game.
Well, yeah, Emma Soderberg has been freaking unbelievable for us this whole year, and also Ashton Bell, our defender, that was also an All-American, I think. Yes, they're just fantastic on the defensive end. Our whole defensive end is really good. I think our team takes a lot of pride in our D zone, so that type of game wasn't a big surprise to me. But also coming in, I think Colgate was a little more excited than us. Or I shouldn't say excited. They were ready to go. They were right off the hop, and our first period wasn't great. So that helped us going into the next game, I'd say. But overall, it was just a tough battle. Colgate was a really good team, and we ended up coming out on top.
Yeah, how did you try to prepare for them? Because obviously you guys didn't play any non-conference games this year. So was it a bit of an adjustment playing a school from a different conference?
Yeah, it totally was. We did a lot of video on them, but you do that on every team. So it was just kind of going in with the mindset that we are going to play the same way that we always do. I think sometimes we can be a little more physical than those out east schools. So we try to take that into the account and really use that in our games because it can rattle other teams. But other than that, you kind of just have to go in and play your game. You can't really think about it too much, I guess, because like you said, you can't really tell anything if you haven't played out of conference games.
Yeah, and I guess is the style of hockey different from East Coast hockey versus Midwest conference or Midwest hockey?
Yeah, like I said, I think a big one is the physicality aspect of it. We, the WCHA is so physical. There's no other way to put it. And I do think that they still are physical out east, and there's some teams that are probably more physical than others, but I'm not sure if it's the same amount as we have to deal with. So it's kind of use that to our advantage when we play those teams. It's helpful.
Yeah, because in that game against Northeastern, there was a lot of physicality that was going on. Is that something your team emphasized heading into that game?
Yeah, it actually was. I think we wanted to just outwork them. We knew that they had been, I mean, they only lost one game the whole year. So we were we just got to come out, surprise them, be physical, don't let them have anything. And honestly, it was one of our best starts of the whole season. I thought we looked great in throughout the whole game. So It was a good game. Obviously sad that it had to end in overtime with us losing, but I would say yes, the physicality was a big aspect for us.
Now, how'd you offensively prepare for that game? Because you're obviously going against Aaron Frankel, who's one of the top goalies in college hockey. Was there like any game plan when you're trying to face a goalie like that?
Um, See, she's just really good. So, yeah, the the goal was to get as many pucks in net. You want to be the people that are getting the rebounds because every goalie lets up rebounds and try to get her to move side to side and expose that. Other than that, it was just kind of play your game. But like I said, we do focus so much defensively. Like we are such a defensive minded team that a lot of it goes from like just don't let them score and we'll figure the rest out throughout the game. So it's kind of a mix of that and just getting pucks to net.
Yeah, definitely. And it also helps that you have Emma Soderberg and you also practice against Maddie Rooney for the past few years. So that definitely helps when you go against a goalie like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, I want to talk to you about that overtime in that game. I guess, like, what was your mindset heading into that overtime because your team had a 2-0 lead? Then you guys gave up 2 goals in the third period. I guess, like, what was the message heading into the locker room, heading into that overtime game?
Yeah, the third period for us, we lost a bit of momentum just with those 2 goals, and having to come into the third period on a 5-on-3 was really tough. But between periods, it was kind of like, well, it's anyone's game. Like we dominated the first 2 periods, if you ask me, and I do think they dominated the third period. So at that point, it's like, well, just got to go out there and do what we were doing the first two, I guess. And I think our team was doing pretty good. I You could tell a couple girls were maybe a little nervous. I mean, anybody's going to be a little nervous in that type of situation, but overall, I do think that our overtime was good. You got to score, I guess, to prove it, but it was a really good game.
How'd you handle the nerves of being in the national tournament, especially for yourself since it was your first appearance?
For me, my dad has always told me growing up that if you're nervous, that's a good thing because if you're not nervous, it means you don't care enough. So just keeping that in the back of my head, and then usually once you hit the ice after warm ups, you get like one shift in your first shift of the game, and next thing you know, it's like, oh, it's just a regular hockey game. Like, who cares? Let's just play. So I think making sure I had that in the back of my head, like, this is fun. This is what I want to do. This is so exciting. Like, don't think of it in a bad way. Think of it in an exciting way. Like, turn those nerves into excitement.
Now, talk about that overtime goal that was scored. It seemed like it was going through slow motion watching it through TV. I'm assuming from your perspective, it was even slower than that. Just what emotions were you feeling after that goal was scored?
Yeah, I think it was a mix of obviously very sad, but also like just baffled, like, oh my gosh, I can't believe they actually scored. Um, yeah, it's hard to say because you do get so upset about it. And it's like everybody wants to win a national championship. And to get that close and then not end up making it was tough. But I think our team put out such a great effort. And if there's a game that I want to end on that's not winning, it would be something like that. So overall, it stinks, but you got to give props to our team. And I think we all felt that way.
And when you look back on this season, what do you overall take away from it?
I think there's a lot. I think one of them is I can't wait to play hockey without COVID.
I
But
think everyone can agree with you on that.
yeah, I know it's like no more masks and no more COVID testing, which I understand. I'm very thankful that the season still happened, but I think I took away that our team was so close, and that's probably why we were so successful. And also the amount of adversity that everybody playing college hockey was able to go through and like keep playing is so cool, and that's something I'll never forget.
It's going to be cool also for fans to come back, I hope, for all of the teams in college hockey, not just certain teams. So I think that's going to be a fun aspect to get back to because watching some of the tournament games this year was cool to see some fans there, even though it was like such a small amount.
Yeah, well, even like North Dakota when they were doing the men's final
Hmm.
face off or whatever for the NCHC, it was like they had so many fans there.
Hmm.
I'm like, okay, that sounds fun. I'd like to
Yeah.
do that again. So I agree.
Yeah, no, it's just crazy because like you don't think like the fan like before COVID, I never really thought of the fan aspect of the game because it was just so common watching it. But then like even with like 25%, you could still see the impact that having fans has, especially for a home team.
Yeah, definitely. Or when you look back at old pictures of games and you see all these people in the stands and you're like, oh my gosh, that's
Hmm.
what it looks like. I totally
Yeah,
forgot about that.
definitely. It seems like a lifetime ago to me.
Yeah, for sure.
Now I want to transition a little bit and talk about before you went to Duluth. So you're from Edina, Minnesota. How did you start playing hockey, and what made you fall in love with the sport?
So Edina, I don't know if you know much about it, but it's basically like hockey, hockey, hockey. Everybody that goes there skates or does something. And my dad grew up in Edina, so he was the one who he played hockey growing up. He got me into hockey. I think I started skating when I was like 3 or 4 years old, so I've been doing it since before I can remember. I think by the time I was in like U12s, I knew I loved hockey and I wanted to play college at that point. Even like that's young, but it's true. I played soccer and lacrosse in high school too, but I was like, I didn't even care about those. I just wanted to be a college hockey player. But Edina definitely sets you up for success. I got recruited to Duluth out of my own like rank. Like I didn't even have to go anywhere to get recruited. So I'm very thankful for that because a lot of people don't have it that easy.
Yeah, definitely. And who was your favorite player growing up?
Oh geez, I don't know. That's a good one. I always liked Martin St. Louis. I thought he was really fun to watch, but that's like he's little, he's good in the NHL, he's crafty. He was always one of my favorite players.
Yeah, definitely. And like you said before, you played for your high school in Edina. What was your experience like there? And talk about getting coached under Sammy Reber. What was that like?
Yeah, Edina High School, it was a lot of fun. My senior year, we actually won the first state championship for Edina, which is kind of crazy. Well, for girls hockey, I should say. And that was with Sammy. I can't say enough good things about Sammy. I love her. I think she's a great coach. She was the one who recruited me to Duluth because she was the assistant coach, and then she ended up leaving. But I was very thankful that I got her my senior year. Edina in general, it's like I think I had 10 or 12, 10 to 12 D1 commits play on the team with me. So it's a very elite program for like just a normal high school. The Lake Conference in general, which is the conference I played in, also has teams just like that. So you're playing really good hockey the whole time, and it was always really fun.
Did it help having a coach that also played college hockey with Harvard?
I would say so, yes. And she was so young, like she just recently played hockey. It's not like it's been 10 or 15 years. So she really knew the sport. She knew exactly what to do, and she was a great coach.
And like you mentioned before, you got to play with a lot of great D1 commits, including players like Emily Oden. How did that help your hockey development, especially going against those type of players in practice every day?
I think the practices are like the biggest key to that because our practices every single day were like so competitive, like basically a college level practice every day. And that definitely set me up to succeed in college. And going against those girls all the time, it's like crazy. Now that I think about it, it's like my team was basically like a D1 hockey team.
Hmm.
So I am very thankful for that. I think it really helped me.
Now you won back-to-back state titles your junior and senior year. I guess like what was it like to win those titles in high school, and just talk about the emotions you felt winning those titles for your school.
I actually only won it my senior year,
Hmm.
but um, I yeah, it was amazing. Honestly, it's like I made it to the state tournament for the 2 years before that, and we got third and fourth place. So going off of that and like finally being able to go and win it was so much fun. And like every high school hockey player in Minnesota wants to win the state tournament. Like that's the one thing you want to do, and for us to be able to do that was really fun.
Yeah, and I guess like is that the best way to end off your high school hockey career, just going out on top? Like, what's that like? Because not many people can say that.
Yeah, that's actually a great point. I always think about that. It's like not many people get to end winning the whole thing, and it's kind of cool that it happened to me my senior year. So then I got to go into college off that. Like I'd say that's it's the one way I'd want it to end.
Yeah, and obviously Edina won a few weeks ago, I guess, for the state tournament this year. Did you watch, and what was? Do you still like talk to some players on that team?
I did watch. I'm kind of too old now for the girls on the team. I never really played with them. So I still talk to Sammy a lot. I was texting her before the game, but it was a really good game. They won 2-1. It was fun to watch. There's also a UMD commit on Andover, so I felt obviously I feel bad for her and losing, but I don't know. I'm always going to cheer for Edina, so it was fun to watch.
Definitely. Have you gotten the chance to meet some of the freshmen that play Minnesota high school hockey that are going to be on your team next year?
I actually have not met any of them personally yet. I've
Hmm.
seen stuff about them. I mean, like our social media accounts will post stuff, so I've seen couple Instagrams or whatever, but I have not met them yet.
Now, what's it like being a player in the Minnesota high school hockey scene and just the entire atmosphere, especially playing at the XL Center for the state tournament? And is it hard to talk? Is it kind of weird talking to people like myself or from the East Coast who kind of just don't get that high school hockey scene?
It is so weird because like for us, high school hockey is like the thing you do. And I know I have a teammate from Colorado, and she's like, Colorado high school hockey is not a thing. Like people just don't do that. And I think that's the case for like almost anywhere really, except for a couple midway west places. So just like being able to play at your home rink and not having to be on a AAA team, like my rink was 10 minutes away from my house, and I know people had to travel like an hour to get to their rinks in high school. So it's definitely cool. The high school hockey in general, boys and girls, is just like so loved by the state of Minnesota. It's crazy and it's fun.
hmm Now, how did your time at Edina help prepare you for college hockey with Duluth? I know you kind of alluded to it earlier with those practices and being coached under Sammy Reber.
Yeah, I think similar to what I said, like the practices are so great. I think also Edina in general, like from social skills and schoolwork, really sets you up well for coming to college. So having that side of it, feeling more comfortable, it was easy for me to transition into college hockey too, because I didn't have to think so much about the other stuff. So I'd say that was also a big key to it.
Yeah, I was hearing that like Edina's graduating class is like 6,000 students. Is that true?
No, not 6,000. It's like 700, I think.
Oh,
But yeah, no, it's not that big. But it's a pretty big school still. Duluth isn't that big either. I guess, well, it's like 10,000 students. But
yeah,
I know some girls on my team, like Ashton Bell, she graduated with like 26, I want to say. So
yeah.
looking at my high school, I'm like, it's huge, but it's
Mhm.
really not that big.
Yeah, maybe I was just looking at the total enrollment of the school, not the graduating class. So I apologize about that. But no, I just thought it was kind of crazy, just like how many students graduate in one class. Because I only had like 300 kids, and like adding 400 more, that must have been a long graduation ceremony.
Oh, it was very long.
hmm
And like half the people that go up there, I'm like, I don't even think I've ever seen your face in my school before,
Yeah.
which is sad, but it's like you're not going to know everybody when it's like a
hmm
huge or a big class like that. So it's weird.
Yeah, I haven't experienced that too with being a class of 300. Like, there's still like one or two people that like I've never seen you before walking down the halls and now in the same class. So, no, that's kind of crazy how that works out. Now, talk about your recruitment process. What made you want to go to Duluth?
So yeah, I've actually been coming up to Duluth for youth hockey tournaments since I was in squirts, I think. So U10s. So Duluth has always been like our favorite thing because it was like our one overnight stay trip and it was so much fun and everybody wanted to go to the Duluth tournament. So that was part of my love for Duluth just from when I was little. Like I was saying, Sammy Reber recruited me from our high school hockey tournament that we had that was literally in my home rink. And I was kind of deciding between Duluth and a couple Audi schools. I'm very much a homebody. I really like my parents and like being close to home. So I'm only 2.5 hours away from Duluth. That was a big thing. And also Duluth has a pretty good science program. So that was nice. And their hockey program with like 5 national championships. And the coaches here are great. You can tell that they just want to make you better. They want to win. The whole atmosphere was just exactly what I wanted. So that's why I decided to come here.
Yeah, talk a little bit more about the coaching staff and what's it like to play under Coach Kroll.
Yeah, Coach Kroll is awesome. She's just a really great coach. She cares so much about you as a person, but she also cares so much about developing you and like she knows your potential. She's never going to take it too hard on you if she doesn't think you can do better. So I think that's awesome. She's also been coaching with like the USA program. So like clearly she knows what she's doing. So it's fun to be coached by her.
Now, speaking of the USA program, you were just attended the camp that happened last week at Blaine, Minnesota. What was that like having that experience?
It was so cool. It was my first time ever being at one of those camps. So to be around people like Kendall Coyne and Hillary Knight, it's like these girls I've been looking up to since I was however old, and to be able to skate on the same ice with them and like play with them and play against them, it was really, really cool experience that I'm very thankful for.
Now, what was your thoughts on Maddie Rooney's stack pad save?
Oh, yes, it was awesome. I remember watching it and I was like, no way she just did that. It was
Mhm.
so great.
And I guess was it a bit awkward seeing some of the players there because you were just battling out for a national tournament and now you're on the same team basically?
Yeah, It was a little weird at first, but I think everybody is like they're friends with each other. We're all nice to each other. It's like nobody is gonna have hard feelings necessarily, but and all the girls there are so nice. It's hard to be awkward because
Hmm.
they're all there for the same reason. Like you said, it's the same team at that point.
Hmm. Now, I want to ask you about some of the teammates you get to play with. You get to play with Emma Soderberg. I know you were talking about her earlier in the podcast. What's she like as a goalie, and how does she help you prepare for games every single day?
Yeah, Emma has been amazing this year. I mean, she was behind Maddie obviously last year, so she never really got the chance to show anything. So we're not really surprised, I guess. But she's just been such a calming presence for our team this year, and with such a big emphasis on our defensive zone, to have a great goalie like her was amazing. And really, every team that's going to win or have like a good record, you need to have a good goalie. So we're very thankful to have Emma this year.
Now, you also get to play with Gabby Hughes. What's she like as a teammate, both on and off the ice? And talk about playing with her at the USA camp last week as well.
Yeah, Gabby's like one of my best friends. Like we're tight on the ice, off the ice. I think ever since she got to college, we've been on a line together. So I think it's like 5 games that we haven't played together, which is absolutely crazy. She is so good. I mean, she already hit 100 points and she's just a junior, and we didn't even have the full season this year. That's like crazy.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, it's been really fun playing at USA camp. That was also fun. We actually ended up having like our rooms were connected through the doors, so we like hung out the whole time, and it was fun being able to play with her.
Now, we're now in the non-hockey segment of the podcast where I ask you some non-hockey questions. My first question to you is, who has the best style on Duluth women's hockey?
Oh, for sure, Kaylee Skinner.
Now, I might disagree with that. I think you might have the best style, but I also might agree with you as well because I think Kaylee was on the podcast before, so she definitely has a great style. But I guess, like, who's your fashion icon?
My fashion icon. I don't even know if I have a fashion icon. I'm like not like that.
Nice, nice. It's okay, I was just wondering, but I guess, like, who is the funniest teammate you have?
Oh, that one's probably Maggie Flaherty. She's a hoot.
Now, who is the best trash talker on the team?
Oh
One of the
goodness.
goalies, because they always like trash talk after they make a save.
Oh yeah. Well, our one of our backup goalies, Hannah Markle, she'll trash talk from the bench a lot, and so does Rev. She
Hmm.
she likes to throw out a couple chirps, so I'd say probably those two.
Now, what is something you wish more people knew about yourself besides being a good hockey player?
Oh geez, that's a hard one. I really like school. I don't
Nice.
know. I think there's more to life than just hockey, right? You got to get a good
Hmm.
education too. So I love school.
Nice. I might have to disagree with you. I'm not the biggest school guy, especially now with doing all these gen ed classes. It's not the best, but I guess, like, what's your favorite class
Like that I'm taking now or that I've ever taken.
ever taken, like in college?
I'd say cell biology.
Is that what you want to do after hockey?
I don't know. I think I want to do something. I might try to apply to med school. We'll see. I don't know. I'm kind of just taking it by ear right now.
Now, what advice would you give someone like me how to balance both the academic side of being a student athlete and the hockey side as well?
I think I would say any free time, even if you don't want to, you kind of just got to do your homework. Like
Yeah.
after hockey, you might be tired, but if you get homework done, then maybe it won't take you as long as you thought and you get more free time at the end of the night. So it's tough, but you really have to just get things done. You don't have time to procrastinate.
Now, how did you deal with those gen ed classes you had in your freshman year?
You just got to get through them.
Hmm.
There's no other way to do it.
Hmm.
It's not fun, but it will be over soon.
Now, what is your biggest pet peeve?
Oh, are we talking like hockey or in general?
Just in general.
I'd say when people interrupt me. I hate it when people interrupt me. That's probably, yeah.
Hmm. I definitely agree with you on that. Probably for me is bad drivers. It can get pretty annoying, especially where I'm from. Some people don't know how to drive, so it can be annoying sometimes.
I can see that. Yeah. Well, in Minnesota, nobody is aggressive. Well, people are passive aggressive, but no one like honks or anything. So we've got a couple bad drivers here too.
We're honk central here in the East Coast. Like, if you go to like New York or Boston, that's all you hear when you go walking down the city. So no, that's definitely the complete opposite. But the one thing I will say about driving in Mass is it's the hardest state to get a driver's license. So I think we're better drivers maybe, like if we go out of state, but I'm not quite sure because I haven't done it yet.
How is it harder to get your driver's license? What do you have to do?
I think we have like more hours like behind the wheel
Oh,
with the
interesting.
parents and like with instructors, and we have to do like 10 hours of observation
Oh,
with an instructor as well. So that's like it's like I think there's more steps to get a license in Mass than it is in other states. Because I know some states it's like 2 hours with a parent, do the test, and you're done. It's like you're 14 years old, and like here
that's
it's
like
like
Iowa.
yeah.
Yeah. I Minnesota isn't that easy, but I don't think it's probably as hard as you then.
Yeah, I know. So I guess that's like a good thing, I guess, because it makes you a better driver. But it can be kind of a pain sometimes, especially since you're a sophomore in high school when most people will get one. So it's like a big time commitment to get a license. So that's the
Yeah.
only tough part about it.
Yeah.
Now, hopefully, I didn't interrupt you during this interview. I know that's your biggest pet peeve, so I apologize if that happened.
I don't think you did.
Awesome, awesome. That's good. Now, if you could have lunch with anyone in the world, who would it be and why?
Oh, geez, these are thinkers. Um, with anyone, probably Old Dominion. I love Old Dominion. It's the
Nice.
the country. I guess that's a band, but probably
What
them.
what song would you want them to play with you, or like to
Um,
you?
shoe shopping.
Mm-hmm.
It's my
I've,
favorite
ne- I've never heard that song, but I'll definitely look it up right after this interview ends. I'm assuming
song.
it's a really good song. I'm not the biggest country fan, but I definitely respect it.
You might not like it. It's kind of slow, but they've got a lot of good songs. A lot of their popular ones are really good.
That's good to hear. So I'll definitely give them a listen. Now, final non-hockey question to you is: what sports do you like to follow on campus besides women's hockey?
Well, we're actually neighbors with the women's basketball team. So I like to follow what they're doing. They made it to the Final Four for basketball this year, which is pretty cool. And also, I'm friends with some of the women's soccer players. And obviously, men's hockey, you got to support your same sport. But
Yeah.
those probably are the most.
Now, what's your thoughts on the Frozen Four? Three Minnesota teams in the tournament. I guess who do you think's coming out?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I got to cheer for the dogs. But the three Minnesota teams, I think that's so cool. And how five of them made it into the tournament in general, that's amazing. But I guess that's why they call it the state of hockey. So, but
Definitely.
it was really fun. I think also that overtime game of Duluth and North Dakota, I personally fell asleep because I couldn't stay up that late. But waking up and seeing that it was in five overtimes, that was absolutely crazy.
Yeah, I watched the entire game. I didn't want. I like kind of flipped back and forth between the Omaha and Gopher game as well when that was going on. But no, I saw some. I saw the replay of the game. It was just crazy. I was up until like 2:30 in the morning watching that. So because it can
That
get pretty brutal here in the East Coast when it comes to time zones, just
oh
because we're
yeah.
so far ahead. So it was like 2:30 in the morning when that game ended, which was crazy. But
Oh
it is what it is. I'm fine. I can stay up late for that.
well, props to you. I didn't even do it, and I'm a huge Bulldog fan.
It was a fun game. You know, like whenever there's good hockey and you're so invested in something, it's like hard for me to turn it off just because you've put so much time into it. It's kind of like a grudge thing a little bit.
True. You got to
Mhm.
hold your ground.
Definitely. Yeah, you're gonna watch the game later tonight. I apologize for the UMass shirt, so I guess the little rivalry going on in the interview, but I guess like are you gonna watch the game tonight and what are you looking for? Like what do you think's gonna happen?
Yes, I'm watching the game tonight. I got my dog's jersey right here, ready to put it on.
Nice.
Um, I mean, obviously, I want Duluth to win. I do feel so bad about those players that had to not come because of the COVID stuff. I
I
can't
know.
imagine how they're feeling right now. So that stinks. But I think it's going to be a good game. I know nothing about UMass. I don't even know that much about Duluth, if I'm being honest. So
Yeah.
I think it will be fun to watch, though.
It definitely will be fun to watch. You know, just being from Massachusetts, I gotta cheer a little bit for the only Mass team that made it to the Frozen Four. But also, I think it should be a great game. It's gonna be interesting though, because UMass only has like one goalie because of that COVID
Yeah,
situation you're referencing, and their equipment manager will be the backup goalie. So hopefully, no injuries happen during the game because that would suck.
that would be so bad. That would be terrible.
But it would be a great story if the equipment manager like won the Frozen Four. So like you can look at it in a positive way as well.
Yeah, true. You make a good point.
Now back to some hockey questions. Now, what should be done to help grow women's hockey in your opinion?
Honestly, I think they've been doing a great job right now with the PWHPA and the NWHL. I think overall, probably the biggest solution, in my opinion, would be to put it on TV more.
Hmm.
You can't really get people to watch a sport if it's not accessible to them. So I'd say that's probably it. And then also, it'd be really cool if instead of having two women's leagues, just making one big one and being able to really put all the emphasis on that one. Those would probably be my things.
Now, how do you decide which league you go to after you're done with college?
I don't know. I think it's just kind of up to you. I know I personally know a lot more people that are in the PWHPA. But I think either league is good. It's just what you want to do, what you're feeling. So, and also I think for me personally, like the PWHPA, they've done such a great job like with NHL programs. So it's like they got to play at the Chicago Blackhawks rink and I think the New York Rangers. So that's like super cool. That helps grow the sport. So
Hmm.
I think they're both teams are doing or leagues are doing a good job.
So once you're done with college, is it like official that you will be going to the PWHPA, or you can't say yet?
I don't even know if I'm gonna keep playing. We'll see. I have no idea. My life is up in the air.
Mhm. You get that extra year of eligibility, though.
Yeah, so actually I am a senior this year, so I'm using it for next year. So
Yeah, that's
next
what
year
I
is my
was.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, I was
So
just curious about that.
yeah, it's honestly super nice that they gave us the option. I know they've been doing that for a lot of sports, but like some schools, I think it was Wisconsin, for their spring term, they didn't let the kids use their extra year of eligibility. I don't think that's happening for the winter or anything, but that was like right when COVID started. So like having a season canceled and then not even getting a chance to come back would be terrible. It's nice to have the option and like know that even if I decided not to come back, well, I could have.
Hmm.
So, but I
Yeah, I
did
agree with you
decide
on
to come
that.
back already. So,
That's awesome. That's awesome. I guess, like, what are your plans for the off season?
usually I just go home. I work out. I don't skate that often in the summer because I like to take a little break. I get a little burnt out sometimes. Not so much this year since we didn't have that many games. Um, but yeah, I'm gonna try and get an internship and go from there.
Awesome. Well, hopefully you get that internship. My last question to you is, what advice would you give younger players trying to pursue a Division I college hockey scholarship?
I would say to always just work your hardest and have a great attitude. I think character is a lot plays a lot bigger role in hockey than you would think. Um, and yeah, I mean, why not do it? Just try your hardest.
Now, do you have any shout outs you'd like to give to your teammates, family members, friends?
um, honestly, no. I mean, my mom and dad probably actually would want me to. So yes, hi, mom and dad. But other than that, no.
Gabby Hughes shouted you out in her interview. She told us to have you on. So, would you like to give her a shout out?
Hi, Gabby.
Well, thank you once again, Anna, for coming on. I really appreciate it. I admire you a lot as a player, but you're also a better person off the ice, and it was fun watching you this year. You're one of my favorite players to watch in the WCHA, so I appreciate you taking time out of your schedule and coming on. It means a lot to me. So stay safe and take care.
Thanks, you too. Thanks so much for having me.
Now, one question I like to ask